Man 3 is a 2013 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Iron Man, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It acts as a sequel to Iron Man 1 and 2 and also the Avengers film, and is the seventh film in the MCU. The film was directed by Shane Black from a screenplay he wrote with Drew Pearce and stars Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, Don Cheadle, Guy Pearce, Rebecca Hall, Stephanie Shostak, James Badgedale, Jon Favreau, and Ben Kingsley. And what's the film about? Well, plagued with worry and insomnia since saving New York from the destruction in Avengers Assemble, Tony Stark now is more dependent on the suits that give him his Iron Man persona, so much that every aspect of his life is affected, including his relationship with Pepper Potts. After an enemy known as the Mandarin reduces his personal world to rubble, Tony must rely solely on instinct and ingenuity to avenge his losses and protect the people he loves. Now, the film was premiered at the Grand Rex in Paris on April 14th, 2013, and was released in the US on May 3rd, 2013. And the film was received praise for its performance, video effects, action sequences, humor, story, and Brian Taylor's musical score, while the plot twist was met with mixed reception. And it grossed $1 billion, and making it the second highest grossing film in 2013 behind Frozen, the 16th film to gross over $1 billion, as well as the fifth highest grossing film of all time. And yeah, however, the film, as time has gone on, hasn't really aged. Not aged, but it hasn't really gotten as good reviews as it originally got. But before we bash this film to death, let's talk about the good. And the good of this film is definitely the visual look and the VFX. I feel like this is a really, really epic looking movie, and I feel like the visual effects look so much nicer in this. Not just that, but I have to admit the actual cinematography is amazing and wonderful. I'm happy that they went back to widescreen 21:9 ratio instead of the 16:9 that the Avengers Assemble film had, because it definitely has that long scope. It needs that scope, you know. Robert Downey Jr. has some of the best scenes with nearly everyone, you know. He is just absolutely charismatic. He is just so cool. And yeah, it's just, I love this cast I like these guys. I really think they're all great as well. And I do somewhat like the screenplay. I do like what's happening with Tony Stark, you know. It kind of would make sense because Tony Stark is a guy. He's a mechanic, you know. He's the man with the spanner. And aliens, all that other dimension world stuff. I mean, yeah, that literally was like, whoa, they could just come down anytime. That can leave anyone feeling paranoid, you know. Like, I would be paranoid, you know. Like, knowing that those things can just come down from space, and it makes sense as to why Tony Stark is like that, you know, because he doesn't know how to deal with stuff like this, so he only knows how to build stuff, and he kind of goes a bit all out insane building as many suits as possible. And also I have to admit, I Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin was great, you know. I did really like his performance as him. I thought he was a pretty decent villain. Sort of, we'll get to that later. And the musical score is the first solo Iron Man film to actually have somewhat of a hummable musical score to it, you know. The first two Iron Mans didn't really have a score, but this one finally does, and it's really good as well, to be honest with you. And then we come to my mixed aspect of the film, and my mixed aspect is definitely Guy Pearce's performance as the douche in the suit. Yeah, he does play this guy who he plays Killian, who is the creator of this. He's basically the founder and owner of this organization called Advanced Idea Mechanics, and let's get to my spoilers. So watch this film now. He and the Mandarin are kind of working together in a way, and this is when I'm going to switch to my negatives because oh dear, the Mandarin, how they kind of adapted the Mandarin wasn't that good, to be honest with you. Yeah, spoiler alert, go watch this film right now. Yeah, the Mandarin is kind of Ben Kingsley character that's the Mandarin. He isn't really the Mandarin. He's just kind of a front. He's like kind of like he's not a duplicate. Sorry, I don't know what the word is, but yeah, he's kind of acting as like the fake Mandarin, while the real Mandarin goes and does his stuff. And the real Mandarin is Ben Kingsley's character, and it's like not Ben Kingsley's character, it's like Guy Pearce's character. And I would have liked it if it was Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, as it was just this kind of crazy terrorist throughout the film. That would have been pretty interesting, you know. But once again, it has to be a guy in a suit who just wants to not take over the world, but you know, it's always something to do with tech government stuff. It's always the same excuse with these guys in suits, you know, and it's just, I don't like these type of villains, you know, they're not appealing, you know, and it always seems to be targeted towards these Iron Man films, to be honest with you. As well as the villain not being as good, I kind of have to admit, but the screenplay is very, very clunky, and when I mean clunky, there are some things that characters do that kind of feel out of character. Like, for instance, Tony Stark basically gives his home address to a terrorist who, and he kept banging on and on and on and on about how he needs to protect Pepper Potts and how he would never put her in danger. Who gives their house address to a terrorist and say, Pepper Potts is fine, it's fine, Habibi, I'm not gonna, it's like, dude, that's just insane and stupid. I'm not even gonna lie, that was just, I couldn't believe he did that. It was just ridiculous. Also, when Tony Stark has to kind of go MIA halfway through the film, he has this aid of a little boy, and he has an aid of a little boy. I mean, really? Why? He's called Harley Kenner. He was played by T.Y. Simpkins, and he kind of like helps Tony rebuild his suit. But why did Tony need this kid? Why couldn't he just call Shield? Call like one person, maybe like, I don't know, Fury. Like, get Shield. Like, just it will be hush hush. But because Shield are really good when it comes to this hush hush stuff. But I don't understand why he didn't just call someone to help him. He put a little kid in danger, and that is just out of character of Tony Stark, you know. That he's very unstable in this movie. Like, what the heck is wrong with him? My gosh, putting people in danger, you know. And yeah, also another thing I don't really like about this film is that as good as this film has any good aspects, it is filler to me. This film, you can honestly just skip this movie and you can just absolutely get the MCU. Just watch Iron Man 2, Avengers, and you can skip this film. You don't even need to watch this movie, to be honest with you. Just because this film never really has any, like, it doesn't further the whole plot of the MCU. The only thing it does is that Tony Stark gets rid of that thing, that chest piece thing that's helping him keep alive. That's the only like main thing he kind of like, you know, did in the film that kind of had an effect. But apart from that, it's kind of the same, you know. Obviously, Tony Stark still has the paranoia, you know. But yeah, overall, this film is filler. It's okay, I suppose. I mean, if you want to judge it as a movie, it is pretty good. It does have some interesting scenes. Like, this is a scene where Tony Stark has to kind of save a bunch of airline passengers from a plane. And he does this awesome, like, kind of skydiving sequence. And it looked pretty sick and amazing, to be honest with you. So the film looks visually appealing. It has some visually interesting moments. And the overall idea of the story isn't somewhat great. It's okay, but I think it's the way it was executed. It wasn't done well, and I don't think the writers kind of realized that they were, yeah. Phase 2 really had a problem when it came to like not incorporating Avengers characters in solo films. but I'm happy Phase 3 fixed all that. But thanks for watching this review. Please like, share this video, and comment down below and tell me what's your favourite Iron Man flick. With that said, thanks for watching, and as always, a Boiler Reviews signing out.